Princess Kira shivered in the dark holding cell. Her purple skin lost its usual glow as fear took over. The humans had captured her only hours ago, and now her fate rested in their strange, five-fingered hands. The attack came without warning. Her diplomatic vessel had been traveling near the neutral zone when alarms blared throughout the ship. Kira had barely reached the escape pod when the explosion threw her against the wall. The last thing she remembered before blacking out was the sight of a large human ship looming outside her viewport. "The princess is awake," a gruff voice said from somewhere beyond her cell. Kira pressed herself against the far wall, her heart racing. The Zendari Royal Academy had taught her about humans, the newest species to achieve faster-than-light travel. They were dangerous predators who ate the flesh of other creatures. Some reports claimed they even consumed sentient beings when food was scarce. The cell door slid open. A human male stood there, taller than any Zendari. His skin was light brown, and he wore a blue uniform with silver markings that probably indicated his rank. "I am Captain Noah Bennett of the Earth Alliance," he said slowly, as if she couldn't understand. The translation device in her ear converted his words perfectly, though she pretended not to comprehend. "Your ship was attacked. We responded to your distress signal." Lies, Kira thought. Humans were the ones who attacked her ship. Everyone knew they wanted to expand their territory into Zendari space. "We will not harm you," the captain continued. "You're an important diplomatic guest now." Guest? Is that what they called their food before eating it? Another human appeared behind the captain. This one was shorter with curly hair and glasses perched on his nose. He carried a small device in his hands. "This is Dr. Ethan Carter, our chief science officer," the captain explained. "He'll make sure you're healthy." The doctor stepped forward with a smile that revealed his flat teeth. Kira had heard humans used smiles to disarm their prey before attacking. She pressed herself further against the wall. "Please, don't be afraid," Dr. Carter said gently. "I just need to scan you for injuries." When she didn't respond, he activated the device anyway. It emitted a soft blue light that passed over her body. "No serious injuries," he reported to the captain. "Just minor bruising and elevated stress hormones, which is understandable." Of course she was stressed. They were probably deciding which parts of her would taste best. "Princess," Captain Bennett said, "we've contacted your government. They're sending a delegation to meet us at Outpost 7. Until then, you'll stay aboard our ship." Kira's 4 hearts sank. Outpost 7 was 5 days away at maximum speed. 5 days for the humans to change their minds about keeping her alive. "Dr. Carter will show you to more comfortable quarters," the captain continued. "You're not a prisoner here. You're under our protection." Protection. Another lie. But what choice did she have? Kira slowly stood, her royal training taking over. Even facing death, a princess of the Zendari Empire must show dignity. She followed Dr. Carter through the metal corridors of the human ship. Crew members stopped to stare as she passed. Were they imagining how she might taste at their dinner table? "Here we are," Dr. Carter said, stopping at a door. "These are our VIP quarters." The room inside was large with a bed, desk, and viewport showing the stars outside. Better than a cell, but still a cage. "I'll bring you some food soon," he said. Kira's stomach turned at the thought of what humans might consider food. As the door closed behind Dr. Carter, she sank onto the bed. Somehow she needed to survive until her people came. Somehow she needed to escape these flesh-eating humans before they decided their diplomatic guest would make a better meal. Dr. Ethan Carter returned to Princess Kira's quarters an hour later carrying a tray. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing the Zendari princess standing near the viewport, her back stiff with tension. "I brought you something to eat," Ethan said, placing the tray on a small table. "Our chef wasn't sure what Zendari prefer, but we included a variety of fruits and vegetables." Kira turned slowly, her large golden eyes fixed on the tray. The foods were strange colors: red, yellow, and green instead of the blue and purple she was accustomed to. She made no move toward them. I assure you, it's perfectly safe, Ethan said, picking up a small red fruit. This is what we call a strawberry. He bit into it, showing her it was harmless. Kira watched in horror. In her mind, the human was demonstrating how he would eat her flesh. The red juice reminded her of blood. You'll need to maintain your strength, Ethan continued, unaware of her thoughts. I've also brought some water and nutritional supplements. When she remained silent, Ethan sighed and set down the half-eaten strawberry. He pulled out a small device from his pocket. This is a universal translator. May I? He gestured toward her. Kira stepped back, bumping against the wall. I understand your words, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. My royal training included study of human languages. Ethan's face brightened. That's wonderful. Communication will make things much easier. Why delay? Kira asked, her 4 hearts pounding. If you plan to consume me, I prefer it be quick. Ethan's mouth fell open. Consume you? What are you talking about? Humans eat the flesh of other beings. It is known. Ethan blinked several times before understanding crossed his face. You think we're going to eat you? Princess Kira, that's not. We don't. He couldn't help but laugh, which only frightened Kira more. I apologize, he said, composing himself. But there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Yes, some humans eat animal meat, but we would never consume a sentient being. That's barbaric. Kira didn't believe him. Our intelligence reports say otherwise. Ethan pulled a chair away from the table and sat down, trying to appear less threatening. Your intelligence is wrong. Humans and Zendari have had limited contact, so I understand there might be misconceptions. But I promise you, we rescued your ship because it's our duty to help those in distress. He tapped his computer pad, bringing up images of the damaged Zendari vessel. Your ship was attacked by energy weapons consistent with Vorik technology. Not ours. Kira studied the images. The damage pattern did match Vorik weapons, but this could be a trick. I'd like to learn more about Zendari culture, Ethan said, changing tactics. As a scientist, I find different species fascinating, but I respect your boundaries. He stood and walked to the door. The food is here if you want it. The bathroom is through that door. You can adjust the temperature and lighting using the panel by the bed. I'll return in a few hours to check on you. After Ethan left, Kira approached the tray cautiously. She sniffed each item, testing for poisons or sedatives. Finding nothing suspicious, she tasted a small yellow fruit. It was sweet and tangy, not unpleasant. As she ate, Kira considered her situation. If the humans had wanted to harm her, they could have done so already. Perhaps Dr. Carter was telling the truth about the rescue. On the other hand, humans were known for their deception. Perhaps they needed her alive for something else. Information, ransom, or were they simply fattening her up for a future feast? Later, Kira examined the room more thoroughly. The door was locked, but the bathroom and other amenities were functioning. On the desk, she found a computer terminal with limited access to the ship's information systems. Curious, she searched for data about humans and their eating habits. What she found confused her. Their diets were varied, with some eating only plants and others consuming both plants and animals. But nowhere did she find evidence of humans eating sentient beings. Had the Zendari Empire been wrong about humans all along? Or was this just another layer of human deception? When Ethan returned later, Kira decided to observe him more carefully. Her survival might depend on understanding the true nature of these strange aliens who claimed to be her rescuers, not her predators. A violent shudder rocked the ship, throwing Princess Kira from her bed. Alarms blared throughout the vessel as red emergency lights flashed on. She scrambled to her feet, her 4 hearts racing with panic. The door to her quarters slid open unexpectedly. Dr. Ethan Carter stood there, his face tense. "Are you all right?" he asked, steadying himself against the doorframe as another tremor shook the ship. "What's happening?" Kira demanded, keeping her distance. We've hit a debris field from an old battle. Several hull breaches on the lower decks. Captain Bennett needs all hands to help with repairs. Ethan paused, studying her. Including you, if you're willing. Kira blinked in surprise. You want my help? You have technical knowledge we could use. But I understand if you don't. Another violent shake interrupted him, more severe than before. The lights flickered and died, leaving only the dim red emergency lighting. We're losing power, Ethan said. Please, Princess. People could die. Kira hesitated. This could be a trick, or an opportunity to learn the ship's layout for escape. I will help, she said finally. Ethan led her through corridors filled with rushing crew members. No one seemed concerned about the alien princess in their midst. They were too focused on the emergency. They arrived at a damaged section where several humans worked frantically on exposed circuitry. A woman with short blonde hair looked up as they approached. Carter, we need to reroute power around the damaged conduits, but the system architecture is fighting us, she said. Lieutenant Lily Grant, this is Princess Kira, Ethan introduced. She might be able to help. Kira examined the damaged systems. The technology was different from Zendari ships, but the principles were similar. Your power distribution is inefficient, she said, pointing to a cluster of circuits. It's creating feedback loops. I can help bypass them. Lieutenant Grant handed her a tool without hesitation. Show us. For the next hour, Kira worked alongside the humans, redirecting power flows and stabilizing critical systems. She was surprised by how quickly they accepted her suggestions and how seamlessly they incorporated her into their team. During a brief pause in their work, Kira noticed a young human engineer struggling to reach a high connection point. Without thinking, she used her natural Zendari ability to extend her arms slightly longer than human capability, easily reaching the spot and making the repair. The engineer stared at her with wide eyes. That's amazing. Can all Zendari do that? Yes, Kira replied cautiously. Our skeletal structure is more flexible than yours. Instead of fear or disgust, the human's face showed only fascination. That must be incredibly useful. A massive jolt suddenly threw everyone off balance. The ship's intercom crackled to life with Captain Bennett's voice. All personnel, brace for impact. We're on collision course with a major debris fragment. Ethan grabbed Kira's arm, pulling her toward a structural support beam. Hold on. The impact came seconds later. A deafening crash followed by the horrible sound of tearing metal. Kira found herself pressed against Ethan as the artificial gravity fluctuated wildly. When stability returned, Ethan immediately checked on his fallen colleagues. He helped Lieutenant Grant to her feet, then tended to a young crew member with a bleeding forehead. Kira watched in confusion. The humans were helping each other without hesitation. The injured were treated first, regardless of rank. This contradicted everything she'd been taught about human behavior. The primary life support system is failing, Lieutenant Grant announced grimly, checking a diagnostic panel. I know how to stabilize it, Kira said, stepping forward. On Zendari ships, we use a similar system. The humans exchanged looks, then nodded. As Kira worked to save the ship that had supposedly captured her, she realized something important. These humans were fighting to survive, just as she was. They weren't acting like predators preparing for a feast. They were working together, with her, against a common threat. For the first time since her capture, Princess Kira wondered if perhaps Dr. Carter had been telling the truth after all. 3 days after the debris field incident, Princess Kira sat across from Dr. Ethan Carter in the ship's observation lounge. The vast emptiness of space stretched before them through the large viewport. Kira's purple fingers wrapped around a warm mug of what the humans called tea. Your assistance saved many lives, Ethan said, breaking the silence. Captain Bennett asked me to formally thank you. Kira nodded stiffly. The past days had left her confused. The humans treated her with respect, even gratitude. None had tried to eat her or harm her in any way. I have something to show you, Ethan said, sliding a tablet across the table. "We've been analyzing communications intercepted from Vorik ships." Kira picked up the device cautiously. The screen displayed translated messages between Vorik commanders. "Target acquired," she read aloud. "Zendari diplomatic vessel neutralized. Human response as predicted. Phase 1 complete." Her golden eyes widened as she continued reading. "The humans will be blamed for the princess's disappearance. War between humans and Zendari inevitable." Kira looked up, her 4 hearts beating rapidly. "This can't be right. The Vorik Collective signed a non-aggression pact with my people last year. Apparently, they never intended to honor it," Ethan said grimly. "They want humans and Zendari fighting each other while they expand their territory unchallenged." Kira set down the tablet, her mind racing. "If this is true, my people are preparing for war against the wrong enemy." "As are mine," Ethan agreed. "Human High Command believes your attack on our outpost in the Rigel sector was unprovoked." "Attack? We never." Kira stopped suddenly. "We received reports that humans destroyed our research station in that same sector 1 month ago." They stared at each other as understanding dawned. "The Vorak," they said in unison. Ethan leaned forward. "They've been playing both sides, creating false flags to push us into conflict." Kira's shoulders slumped as she processed this revelation. "And I believe the worst about humans because of propaganda." "To be fair," Ethan said with a small smile, "we have similar misconceptions about Zendari. Some of our people believe you lay eggs and eat them." Despite everything, Kira couldn't help laughing. The sound surprised her. She hadn't laughed since her capture. "We do not lay eggs," she clarified. "Though we do have 4 chambered hearts and can extend our limbs slightly." "So I noticed during the repairs," Ethan replied. "And we humans definitely don't eat sentient beings, though I understand why you might have believed that." He hesitated before adding, "Your planet's broadcasts sometimes show humans as monsters. Our entertainment transmissions might have contributed to the misunderstanding." "Entertainment?" Kira asked, confused. "Fictional stories, not real." Ethan explained how humans created horror movies and books for amusement, if you intercepted those without context. Kira nodded slowly. "Our intelligence analysts would interpret them as documentary evidence." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their discovery settling between them. "Princess," Ethan finally said, "we need to get you back to your people immediately. You must tell them the truth before this escalates further." "They won't believe me without proof," Kira replied. "And my word alone won't be enough against years of distrust." Ethan's face grew serious. "Then we'll provide proof. Captain Bennett has agreed to change course. We're heading for Outpost 7 immediately, where representatives from both our governments can meet." For the first time, Kira saw the human not as a captor or a potential predator, but as an ally. They faced a common enemy, one that had nearly succeeded in turning them against each other. "Dr. Carter," she said formally, "I believe an alliance between our peoples may be necessary." Ethan extended his hand in the human gesture of agreement. After only a moment's hesitation, Kira reached out and took it. "Call me Ethan," he said. "And I am Kira," she replied, dropping her royal title for the first time. Outside the viewport, stars streaked by as the ship accelerated toward what they both hoped would be peace instead of war. Captain Noah Bennett called an emergency meeting in the ship's conference room. Princess Kira sat beside Ethan, still uncomfortable with the many humans surrounding her, but no longer gripped by terror. The captain displayed a holographic map of the sector. "We've pieced together Vorik movements over the past 6 months," he explained, highlighting several points in red. "Every incident attributed to humans or Zendari can be traced back to Vorik ships in the vicinity." Lieutenant Grant pointed to a blinking dot. "Their fleet is gathering here, near the Talos Nebula. If humans and Zendari go to war, this position would allow them to sweep in and claim both territories once we've weakened each other. A classic divide and conquer strategy," Kira observed, "and we nearly fell for it." Ethan nodded. "The question is, How do we convince our governments of the truth? I've been analyzing the attack on my diplomatic vessel, Kira said, standing to approach the holographic display. She adjusted the controls with her slender purple fingers, bringing up new data. The energy signature was disguised to appear human, but there are inconsistencies. The crew watched as she highlighted specific patterns in the weapon's fire. Human photon cannons leave this residual radiation pattern, she explained. The weapons used against my ship created a similar pattern, but with these subtle differences. She pointed to irregularities in the data. Voric technology attempting to mimic human weapons. Ethan stared at her with admiration. You figured this out on your own. I was trained in military sciences before diplomatic service, Kira replied. It's expected of Zendari royalty. Captain Bennett stroked his chin thoughtfully. This evidence is compelling, but getting it to your people will be challenging. The Voric will try to stop us. As if summoned by his words, alarms blared throughout the ship. The tactical officer's voice came through the intercom. Captain to the bridge. 3 Voric warships approaching. The conference room emptied quickly as everyone rushed to their stations. Ethan guided Kira to the bridge, where chaos reigned as crew members prepared for possible combat. They must have been tracking us, Lieutenant Grant said from her position at the tactical station. They know we've discovered their plan. The main view screen showed 3 sleek, predatory vessels approaching rapidly. Their distinctive green hull plating gleamed in the starlight. Open a channel, Captain Bennett ordered. The face of a Voric commander appeared on screen. Reptilian features, scaled skin, and vertical pupils that narrowed at the sight of Kira. Return the Zendari princess to us immediately, the commander demanded. She is our prisoner. Interesting claim, Bennett replied coolly. Especially since we rescued her from a ship attacked with weapons designed to look like ours. The Voric commander's expression didn't change. Surrender her or be destroyed. You have 1 minute to comply. The transmission ended abruptly. They can't let either of us reach our governments with the truth, Kira said quietly. Ethan turned to her. We need options. Our ship can't outrun or outfight 3 Voric warships. Kira's golden eyes narrowed in concentration. There may be a way. She moved to a nearby console. With your permission, Captain. Bennett nodded, and Kira began entering commands. Zendari diplomatic vessels carry encrypted subspace transmitters, she explained. If I can access mine from here, I can send a message directly to the Zendari High Council with the evidence we've gathered. The Voric destroyed your ship, Lieutenant Grant reminded her. The primary vessel, yes, Kira agreed. But the transmitter is designed to survive and continue broadcasting. It should still be operational in the debris field. Her fingers flew over the controls, establishing a connection to the hidden device. I need to authenticate with my royal codes. The bridge crew watched in tense silence as Kira worked. After several minutes, she looked up with a mixture of relief and determination. Connection established. I'm transmitting all our evidence now. She paused, then added, I've also requested immediate assistance from any Zendari vessels in range. Captain Bennett nodded grimly. Now we just need to survive until help arrives. Battle stations. Everyone. We're not surrendering the princess or our evidence. As the crew prepared for battle, Kira and Ethan exchanged glances. In just a few days, they had moved from fear and suspicion to trust and alliance. Now they would fight together against the true enemy, hoping their newfound understanding wouldn't end before it had truly begun. The first Voric blast rocked the human ship violently. Emergency lights flashed as Captain Bennett shouted orders across the bridge. Evasive pattern Delta. Return fire when we have a clean shot. Princess Kira gripped the edge of a console to steady herself. The tactical display showed the 3 Voric warships moving to surround them. Their ships are faster and better armed, Lieutenant Grant reported grimly. We can't outrun them, and we can't outfight them. Ethan turned to Kira. Is there any indication your message reached the Zendari High Council? Before she could answer, another blast struck the ship. A power conduit exploded near the captain's chair, showering the bridge with sparks. Captain Bennett fell to the deck, clutching his side where shrapnel had struck him. "Captain." Lieutenant Grant rushed to his side. "I'm fine," Bennett insisted, though blood seeped between his fingers. "Stay at your post." 2 medics arrived to help the captain. As they carried him off the bridge, Bennett locked eyes with Ethan. "You have command, Dr. Carter. Get the princess home safely." Ethan swallowed hard, nodding as the weight of responsibility settled on his shoulders. He had scientific expertise, not military training. "We need a plan," he said, turning to the bridge crew. Kira stepped forward. "I might have one." All eyes turned to her as she moved to the main tactical display. The Vorik ships are fast, but their sensor arrays have a weakness. They can't track objects moving through certain radiation fields. "The Mira Nebula," Lieutenant Grant said, understanding immediately. "It's close enough to reach." "Yes," Kira confirmed, "but navigating it is extremely dangerous without proper shielding." Ethan studied the star chart. "Do we have another choice?" The ship shuddered as another Vorik blast struck them. The engineering officer reported from below decks. "Shields at 38% and falling. We can't take much more of this." "Set course for the Mira Nebula. Maximum speed," Ethan ordered. The helmsman complied immediately, and the ship lurched forward as its engines strained to their limits. Behind them, the Vorik warships adjusted course to pursue. "They know where we're going," Lieutenant Grant warned. "But they won't follow us inside," Kira replied. "Not if they value their ships." The nebula appeared on the view screen. A swirling mass of purple and blue gases shot through with electrical discharges. It was beautiful and terrifying. "Engineering," Ethan called over the comm. "We need everything you can give to the forward shields. Reroute power from non-essential systems." As they approached the nebula's edge, a final Vorik blast caught them directly on the port side. The ship spun wildly as control panels exploded across the bridge. Ethan was thrown from his feet, striking his head against a bulkhead. Kira rushed to his side. Blood trickled from a cut on his forehead, but he was still conscious. "I'm okay," he insisted, though his eyes couldn't quite focus. The helmsman called out in panic. "We're drifting. Controls aren't responding." Kira made a split-second decision. "Help me get him to the medical bay," she ordered a nearby crewman. Then she turned to Lieutenant Grant. "I can navigate the nebula. My people have mapped it extensively." Grant hesitated only briefly before nodding. "Take the helm." As Ethan was helped off the bridge, Kira slid into the helmsman's chair. Her fingers danced across the unfamiliar controls, adapting quickly to the human interface. "Rerouting emergency power to engines and stabilizers," she announced. "Entering nebula in 3, 2, 1. The ship plunged into the swirling gases. Radiation alarms immediately sounded throughout the vessel. The view screen flickered as electrical discharges danced across the hull. "The Vorik ships have stopped at the perimeter," Lieutenant Grant reported with grim satisfaction. "They're not following." Kira navigated carefully, dodging the most dangerous radiation pockets. After 15 tense minutes, the sensors detected something unexpected deeper in the nebula. "Multiple ships approaching," Grant announced. "Zendari signatures." Kira's 4 hearts leaped with hope. "My message got through. They sent a rescue fleet." As the Zendari vessels surrounded them in a protective formation, Kira allowed herself a moment of relief. Then she requested permission to leave her post and check on Ethan. In the medical bay, she found him sitting up on a bed, a bandage on his forehead. His face brightened when he saw her. "I heard we have company," he said. "My people came," Kira confirmed. "We're going home, both of us." The grand meeting hall of Neutral Station Epsilon buzzed with tension. On one side stood the Zendari delegation in their flowing purple robes. On the other, human representatives in formal blue uniforms. Between them, at a circular table, sat Princess Kira and Dr. Ethan Carter. 3 weeks had passed since their rescue from the Mira Nebula. 3 weeks of diplomatic maneuvering, evidence sharing, and cautious trust-building between species that had nearly gone to war. "The High Council recognizes Princess Kira," announced the eldest Zendari counselor, his voice amplified throughout the hall. Kira rose gracefully, her royal posture perfect despite her still healing injuries. The golden ceremonial crown of the Zendari royal house gleamed atop her head. "Honored representatives of both worlds," she began, "before you is evidence of Voric deception spanning 2 years. Every incident attributed to humans was Voric work. Every attack blamed on Zendari was Voric aggression." She activated a holographic display showing attack patterns, weapons signatures, and communication intercepts. The display rotated slowly above the table, undeniable in its detail. "The Voric sought to eliminate both our civilizations through war," she continued. "They failed because humans showed me compassion when I expected cruelty." Kira's gaze found Ethan, who sat with his hands folded on the table. The cut on his forehead had healed, leaving only a faint scar. "I believed humans would eat me," she admitted, causing murmurs among both delegations. "I was taught humans consumed other sentient beings. I now know this was propaganda, fed to us by Voric operatives who had infiltrated our intelligence services." The human ambassador cleared his throat. "We had similar misconceptions about Zendari physiology and customs. Our intelligence suggested your species was planning biological warfare against Earth colonies." "More Voric lies," Ethan added. "Their strategy was elegant in its simplicity. Make each side fear the other so completely that peaceful contact became impossible." A Zendari military commander stepped forward. "The evidence is compelling, but how do we proceed? Trust cannot be built overnight." "No," agreed a human general, "but it can begin with one step." The room fell silent as the leaders of both delegations approached the central table. The Zendari High Counselor extended his 4-fingered hand. After a brief pause, the human admiral clasped it firmly. "A non-aggression pact," the admiral announced, "to be followed by cultural exchange programs and eventually a formal alliance against Voric expansion." The tension in the room dissolved into cautious optimism. As the delegations broke into smaller groups to discuss details, Kira found herself alone with Ethan near a viewport overlooking the stars. "Your people are appointing me as the first human ambassador to the Zendari Empire," he told her with a smile. "Who better than someone who's already proven he won't eat the royal family?" Kira laughed, the sound still strange, but increasingly natural to her. "And I am to head our new joint scientific initiative. The High Council believes my unique perspective on humans will be valuable." "Unique is one word for it," Ethan agreed. "When you first came aboard our ship, did you really think I was fattening you up for dinner?" "I did," Kira admitted. "I cataloged everything you gave me as potential seasonings or marinades." They both laughed, drawing curious glances from nearby diplomats. "Fear is a powerful thing," Ethan said more seriously. "It nearly cost both our worlds everything." Kira nodded. "I once feared you would be my doom. Now I believe you. All humans may be our greatest hope for the future." Beyond the viewport, a small fleet of Zendari and human ships moved into formation, preparing for the first joint patrol of their shared borders. No longer enemies or strangers, but allies. Later that evening, at the formal diplomatic dinner celebrating the new pact, Princess Kira sat beside Ambassador Ethan Carter as honored guests from both worlds shared a meal. The symbolism was lost on no one. Species who once feared consuming or being consumed by each other, now breaking bread together. When Ethan jokingly offered Kira a bite from his plate, she accepted with a smile. The fear that had once defined her understanding of humans was gone, replaced by something much more powerful: truth. And as representatives of both worlds raised their glasses in a toast to peace, Kira reflected on how close they had come to destruction, and how something as simple as understanding had saved them all.